Hey, I wanted to talk to you today about something that I think is a game changer. I think if more people knew this up front, it would change how people approach their divorce. And I don't know why no one talks about it, but they don't. I've never heard the information out there. I know that if I would have known this, it would have slightly changed how I approached things. And I hope that you'll be able to see how this piece of information can benefit you or anyone that you know that might be considering a divorce or going through a divorce. Or honestly, you can even apply it to post-divorce. When you kind of understand these principles, then it opens your eyes to its applications in various ways. So the information is that less than 5% of divorces will go before a judge. So let that sink in for a second and think about how things have gone so far in your divorce or other divorces that you know about. So oftentimes attorneys will jockey for the win and the lose because that's how they were trained in law school. It is somebody won and somebody lost, and that's not the family system, and that's not a good thing if you are trying to negotiate a divorce and a parenting plan. It needs to be what I call livable solutions, that both parties can live with the decisions, and that's what judges are looking for. And on the other side, judges do not want to decide your case. They really want you to settle it outside of court. I've never met a judge who's like, woohoo, I get to decide somebody's life today. They hate it. They know that they can't know all the nuances of scheduling and specifics on how you guys do life. And they really don't want to know. And they want you guys to work it out, which is why most settle out of court. The courts are backlogged. They don't want to see it. And it's truly not appropriate, right? So a judge can come down and do this thing, and it's not even doable for the parties, meaning like it's a schedule where somebody has a night shift and they're supposed to have the kids during the day, and it just doesn't make sense. And so they really want you to work it out. So understand that piece of information should inform how you proceed. So one question I get all the time is about choosing an attorney, and specifically they come to me and they say, Paige, who do you recommend in Nashville? Because that's where I live. And the truth of the matter is it depends on your case. But there's some things that I always recommend, which is find an attorney that you like, because you're going to be working with them and you need to like them and feel comfortable with them, and you're going to share a lot of personal information. So someone that you can feel comfortable with, not the quote pit bull that's going to go after them and you think that is going to get you what you want. It's not. But looking at, and maybe if you are in the front end of this, you can interview attorneys and ask them about how they feel about negotiation and how they feel about this fact. Do they agree that 95%? And if so, how do they approach their cases? Because if they start in on just doing all of these legal jockeying techniques from the beginning, it's jacking up billable hours in your costs, but honestly, it's not doing anything to encourage cooperation or a reasonable settlement. So all you're doing is going to upset the other side. You're likely going to go to court now the more things get pushed and escalated, because you're going to scare the other person. It's not wise. So slowing down, but understanding that is not their area of expertise. Lawyers are experts in the law. And my background, my master's is in conflict management. So I'm seeing this from an entirely different lens, right? And also I have a trauma specialty. So I came into all of this because I went through my own personal divorce, and and I have a trauma lens that I look through everything through. So I saw this. I know that this is a traumatic experience, and then I'm watching this system further traumatize people that are already in trauma. So that was how I kind of came into all of this. So your attorney's looking at it through a legal lens, which is great. That's why you're paying them. But truly, this is kind of outside of the law. And if you're going to negotiate your settlement outside the law, you need someone who not only knows the law and kind of what's typical in different areas, because even where I live, like one county to another, varies slightly. I mean, not hugely. And all states are always trying to maximize time with both parents, unless there's a reason not to. These things should be fairly typical. How they award alimony or spousal support, child support, that can vary depending on your state statutes, but most of it's going to be reasonable, right? So they don't want to leave anyone in a position where they're worse off, obviously. So whether you go to court or you negotiate outside of court, that's just going to be a kind of standard way of looking at things. And so within that, you've got a lot of leeway to kind of look specifically at your family system and say, this is what we want to do and what we want to accomplish. So I want to encourage people to really use the process of mediation, and whether that's with your attorneys, with a mediator, on your own, with your soon-to-be ex, and asking them if they would be willing to meet with you and talk about some of these things offline. However that looks for each family is different, but knowing the system and knowing the percentage that's going to go to court, knowing that your attorney is trained in a win-lose, and I think some of these things kind of will help frame how you proceed and understand that it is your case. And if you want certain outcomes, that the way to get there is not, if you know that you have young children, you're going to have to co-parent, and you're not going to do yourself any favors or the kids any favors by really jacking things up by cost or by demanding different documents and getting really particular about certain things. Depending on your financial status, some of these things will have to happen. You will have to ask for documents, but oftentimes you can ask. And if you feel comfortable that they're not hiding anything and that lines up, if y'all have been married since 21 and you have a handle, you don't think he's got $1 million in an offshore account when you're like, when would he have made that or gotten that or whatever? You don't need to do some of these things that sometimes will get recommended and they're not necessary. So use your own judgment. Understand that they're looking through a different lens. They are trying to protect you. I mean, they want to make sure that you're going to get everything that you're due, but the truth is you probably are anyway, and it's just how it's going to shake out. So if you approach it from a kinder, gentler standpoint, you have a better likelihood of less trauma to yourself, less trauma to the kids, certainly keeping more money in your pocket, because I've never met anyone who really wanted to pay their attorneys. It's just nature of the beast that has to happen in this process. So heck, if you could save some and keep that in your pocket, why wouldn't you? So that's it. That was on my heart. I had to get it out in this horrible lighting. I apologize for the video quality. I am not tech savvy, so I just plopped down where I could, where it was quiet, to give you my 2 cents, and I hope it helps.